Hey friends, happy Wednesday. It's Ask a Flower Farmer. It's your friend Lisa Mason Ziegler. And can y'all tell I have been weed whacking and mowing down stuff all morning, and so I am a little, I did change my shirt. My sister just told me at lunch that I had celosia seed stuck all over my forehead, so y'all, I tried to get it off. So folks, welcome to September in southeastern Virginia. It is your friend Lisa, and so this is Ask a Flower Farmer, and what that means is that for the next 30 minutes I will do my best, after I give you my little run through here, that I will do my best to answer your questions. So if you have any question related to cut flower growing, seed starting, cool flowers, just post it down below in the little bubble with the question mark. That way I don't lose your question amongst all of the names that are scrolling up and people chit-chatting with each other. So we do this every Wednesday at 12:30 Eastern Time, from 12:30 to 1, and today is the day. And so you can tell I'm at home here on the farm this week. And so Suzanne and I have been filming all morning of me doing fall cleanup around here, and y'all, it was very exciting. So you'll see videos, you'll see some reels coming along of me using my DR string trimmer and bush hogging and taking up netting off of beds. Probably one of the most common questions, or people say to me, oh my gosh, how do you reuse netting? Well, you can take netting off, and you'll see videos of me doing that. And anyway, so it's been one of those kind of mornings. It empowers me because it keeps my garden really, not neat, but kinda, getting rid of all this grass heads and mess. And anyway, so fall is well underway, and for anybody that's wondering, what did I decide to do about the sunflower cover crop, which I'll turn around and see if y'all can see it back there. That's what's growing all back there. You can't see the heads anymore because they've aged out, and I had posted that, am I going to mow the cover crop down before it develops seed, and risk it becoming a nuisance reseeder, or what? Well, I left it. Because we have literally just, I would even be almost as strong to say as a couple hundred goldfinches that just descend on these sunflowers and are eating the seed. So I haven't mowed it. I got a lot of comments about don't mow it. Well, I didn't mow it. And so I'm standing under the tulip saucer magnolia. I call it a tulip tree, but it's a saucer magnolia. This is like an amazing tree. It gets those pink blooms in early spring. And my Lenten roses are what's down here at the base. That's what all of this is. And so I thought this was a great place to stand to come and talk to you guys. So we are knee deep. Bobo is seed starting. Our grow room is full of transplants. We have lots coming along, and we're still starting seed. We haven't started bed making or direct sowing yet, but it is pretty nice conditions for it, I will say, because we're having kind of like 70 to 80 degree days and a little bit cooler at nights, which is perfect for cool season annuals to germinate. That's why it's so nice to direct seed those ones that really do best that way. However, I resist jumping on that wagon earlier than I'm supposed to, because you don't want those plants to germinate and grow into a plant too big before winter sets in. Large plants do not go through winter. It's those little baby, well-established plants that we're looking to create with that. So I see we have some questions down here. Before I jump to those, remind everybody that you're invited to join us for our live gardening QVC type show that happens every Friday. And this Friday, you're in for a real treat. So I'm actually taking a business workshop on Friday. And so Suzanne, my sister, is going to be doing the show. And y'all, Suzanne is the one that was our bouquet maker for all those years. She's also the one that all those years that she and I did shows and traveled, she really gives you a different perspective on how to use some of the flower arranging tools that we have. It's not flower arranging, making bouquets, the really down and dirty of all that. So she'll be leading the show this week. So please show up and support her, and give her a lot of good comments. And so she's a natural at doing it. You know, she took over for me a couple weeks ago when I kind of got dizzy in the middle of the show from some cold medicine I had taken, or allergy medicine. And so we know she can do it, right? Anyway, so I won't see you on Friday, but Suzanne will. And we have some beautiful flowers, the harvest, and she's going to show you how we use those flower bouquet making tools that we actually have. So please show up. And if you haven't gotten our app, friends, first off, it's free. Just go to your phone's app store, search Gardener's Workshop, download it, and be ready. It's at 12 noon Eastern time on Friday. It's for an hour. We always give away something. I think we're giving away a $25 store credit again this week. And we always have a deal of the day. And I think actually maybe those flower arranging tools that Suzanne will be showing you how she uses them are actually going to be on sale. So get the app, get your lunch, and get a beverage, and join her at 12 noon. And tell her in the comments that her sister sent you. All right. So y'all, we have to help build her up for doing that, because I really appreciate being able to take this 4-hour course and have y'all still having fun. So let's see what the questions are here. All right. Betsy says, I didn't have much luck with my Bells of Ireland germinating by direct seeding. What's the downfall of transplanting them in very early spring? So the difference between fall and very early spring planting is huge in how well established the plants are, the stem length, the abundance of stems. I feel like I got something crawling on me, y'all. Not surprising after what I've been doing today. So if it is winter hardy where you are, and I don't know where you are, Betsy, but I direct seed Bells of Ireland, and my first frost date is mid-November, and we won't be even attempting to direct seed them until probably the first or second week in October, because they definitely need some coolish temperatures. You know, if it's still warm where you are, if you're facing, some pretty hot days. I mean, we were just 90-some degrees in the afternoons last week, I think, and that just totally stops all that. So I would review our seed sowing instructions, which all of that, if you don't have our seed packet, you can go to our website, thegardenersworkshop.com. On each seed's product page, we give you the lowdown to get the seeds to germinate, right? All the special handling, if there are any that I do. So that's what I would recommend. You will have much better luck. So here's the difference. When you fall plant, that plant gets sprouts and gets established, then goes through winter dormant, and it's ready to hit the ground running when spring-like weather begins, versus you planting it when spring-like weather begins, and then it has to try to get established and grow at the same time. And that's why the stems are short, they don't produce very much, and they're not as disease and pest resistant. So that's my recommendation, Betsy, is to try again and make sure you're following all the steps to get them to germinate. What seed should I be starting now for overwintering? I'll be doing it today as you're talking. Well, Fairy, on the weekend, there's a lot of questions you have to answer. If you haven't read my book, Cool Flowers, I would definitely recommend it. It's simple and easy to read. It explains the concept. It is all based on your winter hardiness zone and your first and last frost dates. And then what flowers are you talking about? So you have to figure out that journey kind of yourself. And y'all, I just got in the my inbox probably about mid-morning. Actually, I stopped mowing and had to check my phone for something and saw that I had an email from my publisher. I've gotten the third round of interior page to review and edit, and actually I have to add 3 pictures, and I just can't wait for y'all to get this book in your hands, because Fairy, on the weekend, that this book teaches you how to figure out when you plant what for where you are. It is so simple, y'all. And if you just take the time to learn the equation, you will never have to ask that question again. And it's just so empowering. And so if you're not already on the wait list for my new book, The Cut Flower Handbook, which comes out in February, y'all, I'm just watching the finches fly up and down and up and down. Maybe I should turn around so y'all can see. Maybe y'all can watch too. We'll see if y'all can actually see them coming and going back there. So I can't wait for you to get that book, because so instead of having to wonder at every season and at every new flower you come across, you will know the steps to take to figure it out and know what you're supposed to do and be successful doing it. I was going to start seedlings today, but I'll be out of town next whole week, so the cue is, should I start after I come back? Is starting seeds for overwinter too late in the first week of October? I'm in 8B. So 8B, it doesn't matter. Your winter hardiness zone, y'all, only tells you what you can plant in the fall. That means, sorry y'all, that's not good, is it? I'm going to have to turn back around. I was going to let y'all watch the birds, but that sun on my face was a little much. Your winter hardiness zone simply tells you what will survive winter for you, which flowers. Once you know the flowers' winter hardiness zone and you know your winter hardiness zone, if it is your zone or north of you, you know that you can fall planted. It's your frost dates that tell you when. And so you cannot start seeds and leave them for a week. So that is going to have to work out for you to come back and do it when you come back. My snaps are behind. Should I transplant them on time, but smaller, or later until they're a few inches tall? So snapdragons, we have probably 12 or 14 trays of snapdragons going in. I'm just pleased as punch with how they look. But let me tell you about snaps. So if you're growing in soil blocks, and it also happens particularly when you're growing in plug trays, is overwatering them. And it doesn't mean that you pour too much water on. It means that the conditions don't dry the soil out, and then you water them again the next day, so they're constantly kind of wet. That will make a snapdragon put on the growing brakes. In a soil blocking situation, people will just go in and water every morning and not even evaluate, oh, is it dry? Because it's not that you're not supposed to water every day. It's that your conditions should be such that they do dry out in a 24-hour period. I can't help you out on the cell packs because I don't really grow anything but sunflowers in those, and they're typically outside. But it's wet feet that really stunt snapdragons. So be sure that you have them in a really healthy, warmish. If they're too wet, if you suspect that, you need to warm it up a little bit. I'm getting ready to move some. Mine are pretty small still. I'm getting ready to bring them out on the carport in a really protected place, and then they're just in a little bit of wind. They're getting a little morning sun, a little afternoon sun, but they're protected from overhead raining, and it's just a healthier environment. Nobody wants to grow up inside, y'all, 100% of the time, right? So I'm always trying to get them out. So if you have not moved them outside, maybe that's the next step to get them to start growing again. And that may help you, because I think wet feet, and it's not that they're sitting in water, it's that the soil is not really drying out. And why is that so important? Friends, plants need as much oxygen to their roots as it does water, but we don't even think about that. And when the soil's wet, guess what it can't get? Oxygen. So that's what my suggestion would be. The Painted Petal Flower Company. I grew snaps for the first time last spring. They were beautiful. The only problem I really had with them were thrips. Any recommendations? So, for anyone that doesn't know what thrips are pests. They are perhaps, in fact, the number one flower farmer's enemy. Thrips are really a vegetable growers too, because thrips are a tiny little bug. I mean, if you took a pencil and just drew a little 1/16 of an inch line, that's about what they look like. They're really hard to see until you start looking for them. And so they don't necessarily, they do a lot of damage to flowers, but even worse than that, they spread disease. Like the tomato virus that everybody gets, guess who spreads that around? Thrips. And literally, because this is what happened to me the first time I knew that I had them. They're present, I think, at some level all the time. But in the spring, going into early summer, literally the extension agent told me they come in literally on a south wind. They just kind of float with the wind and boom, you have a bazillion of them. What happened for us is our neighbor, when it used to be horse farm instead of houses over there, it was Bermuda grass. And when he would mow, that would fester them up and they would just all fall right on over here. So the remedy, there is no overnight remedy for thrips. First off, you can't really do anything about them just all of a sudden showing up one day. However, I have learned through the years, those flowers that they seem to be the most attracted to and actually can harbor in from year to year, particularly. 2 flowers for me, and this does not mean it's going to happen to you. 2 flowers that when I eliminated them from our property, that helped me the next couple of years just to kind of help the natural happenings here on my farm. So Shasta daisies and gladiolas, particularly as flower farmers. I hear a lot of new growers. I think a lot of new growers are attracted to glads because A, they're cheap. B, they see a lot of florists using them. But I'll tell you, back when I was growing glads 20 years ago, I couldn't give them away, much less sell them. But gladiolas are a thrip magnet, right? Like a trap crop, but unfortunately you can't trap them. And Shasta daisies are the same. So when I learned that there were certain flowers that they were very attracted to, I eliminated them from my property at least for several years while we got them under control. Then I started learning, all right, there are certain flowers that they're attracted to. You know, I got to build up my natural predators. There are beneficial insects that take out thrips, but they're not going to take out droves, and it's not going to happen in 1 year. So we just kind of prevented growing certain things, but I do not treat. I will tell you that. And we've done probably pretty good for about 10 years now. You can maybe find some, but not numbers. So and that was a really long answer to your short question. But restoring the natural order of my garden, meaning encouraging beneficials, and specifically, I know that there's growers that bring in beneficials that target thrips, and then not growing thrip magnets. And maybe you have to give up some stuff for a few years while you get your system going, and then you might be able to bring them back. But I so have sympathy for you because I have been there, done that. Zone 9, South Louisiana. First frost mid-November, same as mine. Very mild winter, still in the 90s. How far can I push back my cool flower seed starting sowing? So, Melanie, you're kind of in the same boat that we are, even though I'm in zone 8A. You like us, because you have a milder winter, we do go deep sometime in cold, but you have a lot of wiggle room. And here's the wiggle room rule that I follow. First off, you don't have so much wiggle room planting seeds out in the garden, direct sowing. You have to plant seeds while there is still some warmth during the day, but the nights are cooler, right? I mean, you can't get seeds to germinate outside when it's 50 or 60 degrees during the day. I mean, they just take forever. So I still plant those kind of on time. You are like me, you know, the month of October would be direct sowing time, right? But transplants you can push. I would much rather wait later than earlier on transplanting because I can hoop and cover them with floating row cover and give them the protection they need to get established. That doesn't work so good with direct seeding. It can be done, but it's not as successful at all. So I would say I would wait. I mean, we're just now starting our transplants to plant out. And of course we soil block, so normally they're only 3 to 4 weeks old when we plant them out. So we're waiting a couple, 3 weeks past when I'm supposed to be actually doing that. Oh, where'd it go? Hi, Lisa. I live in Texas 8B. Do I need to hoop and cover any cool flowers for frost or winter protection? What a great question. So here's the rule on that. I only use row cover to protect plants from the cold wind environments because, and this is the key part that people don't tend to remember, is that's because I only plant those fall planted cool season hardy annuals that are winter hardy in my zone. Meaning, for instance, a great example, straw flowers. Straw flowers, they say they're winter hardy to zone 8, and I'm in zone 8A, but I'm zone 8A/7B. Literally, depending on the way the wind blows during the winter, if we get a really cold winter, like a 7B winter, it kills straw flowers. So guess what? I don't plant straw flowers in the fall. We plant those in very early spring. Everybody can plant all of the cool season hardy annuals in very early spring. And if you don't know what very early spring is, you need to get my book. You need to get educated on the few terms, fall, very early spring, what that is and how to apply it to your area so you know exactly when to do it. So back to your question, if I fall planted straw flowers, I would definitely have to use row cover for cold protection. But that, I don't do that. We don't really use row cover for cold protection. We use it for wind protection and to keep deer from eating on our plants during the winter, hopefully, and rabbits. So if you're growing what's winter hardy in your zone, you shouldn't. And being in 8B, you can grow pretty much everything. But I will say this, we like using row cover for wind because it keeps my plants in better condition through the winter. I mean, it's a difference between sending your kid out to the bus stop on a 55-degree morning. They're not going to freeze, but they aren't going to be comfortable at all, right? They're going to be chilly. Well, that's how I feel about my plants. Why not give them that little extra cuddle to have a better plant coming out of winter in better condition and perhaps even rooted in a little bit more? Do you see what I mean? So row cover is like the icing on the cake. It is not a requirement when you actually grow what's winter hardy in your zone. Oh, good. Melanie's soil blocking as well. Good for you. So if your snaps are in soil blocks, just be sure that they're completely dry and set them out during the day in a protected area, and that may help bump them up, get them going again. All right, Zone 9, South Louisiana. Oh, wait, I've already answered that one. Here's the one I want. Hello, Mark. When should I plant crimson clover cover crop? Same as you, 7B, first fall, frost, November 1st. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. So, Mark, we treat cool season hardy annual cover crop pretty much the same. So you want to plant in time for it to sprout and grow into a baby plant before winter starts. And you're actually 2 weeks before me. I'm in the middle of November. So I would say it's time for you to plant crimson clover. We're getting ready. We're preparing. That's why I was mowing all morning, preparing to plant clover. But we're just not planting it too early because we still have some really warm days. So yes. So the clovers are just like a cool flower, right? Wait a minute, y'all. Must not have hit the X on that one. All right. When you say you prep some of your beds in the fall to be ready for spring planting, very early spring planting, and you use Bio 360 film, doesn't it break down faster sitting exposed in the sun till spring? Or do you use something other than Bio 360 for those winter exposed beds? What a great question. Why did it not come up? Wait a minute, y'all. There it is. So yes, we use Bio 360. So what they're referring to is, so we fall plant, we prepare our beds with Bio 360. That's a biodegradable film that we use. You can learn more about it and purchase it over on my website, thegardenersworkshop.com, and actually see a video on there of us putting it down by hand. So when we make our fall planted beds, which we're getting ready to do, we prepare a percentage of those beds, usually about 20% of the beds that we're going to fall plant, we prepare for very early spring. I say very. That's part of the language you have to really learn, because it's not spring. It's very early spring, which is 6 to 8 weeks before your last spring frost. Much deeper. So for me, that's like Valentine's Day. So what is it doing in Valentine's Day? Sometimes we have snow. It is still cold outside, and the ground is definitely too wet to be prepared. So we prepare those beds in the fall, and yes, we cover them with the Bio 360, and they just sit out there ready and waiting for us to just come out. Bobo goes out with transplants, and at mid-February, that's when we plant our Lysianthus and straw flowers and stock and successions of Sweet William and other things, right? And we do not experience it breaking down. So we plant in mid-February, and literally today I just mowed some of the beds, some of the Rudbeckia beds that were very early spring planted, that are still all together out there. So it's fragile, don't get me wrong, at this age, right? It's pretty old, but it holds up beautifully for us, and we get snow and rain throughout the winter. So that has been my pretty much go-to deal. All right, let's see here. What is the best way of starting to sell cut flowers as a new farmer? I'm in Europe, in Estonia. So first off, welcome from Europe. So the best way to start your business, I mean, first off, the minute you accept a dollar bill or a euro or whatever kind of money you have over there, as soon as you exchange flowers for money, here in the United States anyway, you're in business. What that means is that you're liable for any issues, and as far as taxes go, you're already, should have your business, your P's in a row. So my recommendation is you have to decide whether or not this is what you really want to do, and then go about setting yourself up, small or large, as a professional. And what that means is just getting your P's in a row, because you want to, I don't know who you want to sell your flowers to, but whether you're going to be selling at farmers markets or to florists, or your bouquets to a supermarket or a corner store or something, you are the pro. You have to kind of like get your stuff set up. And I would highly recommend my course, Flower Farming School Online, which we have people all over the world that have taken that through the years. And it really, the first week or the first class is about setting your business up and things to think about and things to address and how to really streamline. And then about building your garden, then what to grow, then how to sell it and how to harvest it and cut it. And then there's a whole class on seed starting as well. So that's what I would say to you, but don't get started and burn some bridges by not being, and when I say a professional, that just means you need to know how much to charge for your flowers. You need to know how to condition them to have the best quality. You're asking people to pay for the flowers, right? We see all kinds of craziness that people try, and sometimes when you go into it, let's just say you went into a shop and you don't know how much to charge. I mean, what confidence does that give that customer to actually buy flowers from you? None. And it actually makes them kind of like think local flowers or growers aren't necessarily the ones to buy from. So we recommend really getting prepared before you do that. And you can find Flower Farming School online on my website. You can purchase it now. You get access to the entire class immediately, and it will help you along the way and getting started. The painted flower. What are your cool season focal flowers? So what a great question. I will tell you that I find for me that I struggle with focal flowers in spring because I don't grow ranunculus and tulips, and actually tulips are too early even for most cool flowers here. But that's what got me started on the early bird sunflowers and growing them small and growing spring appropriate colored pro cuts, the lemon and the whites, because that's what literally became an enormous cash crop for us. And we literally have sunflowers for before Mother's Day. And you can learn more about that if you visit my YouTube channel. Go back to March on seed starting Saturdays, and that's what I'm talking about is starting early. You know, we start them inside, and it tells you about planting them out before your last frost date and how to treat them. Sunflowers are more cold tolerant than we think, and they have proven it. I've done this for several years now, and we have so many people that are getting sunflowers weeks and weeks and weeks earlier and growing them small and growing them in spring appropriate colors, and it's the perfect focal flower. So that's what we use primarily, in addition to, you know, peonies and the things that we have. So friends, it's already 1 o'clock. So thanks for joining me. And remember, if you're around Friday at 12 noon, check out our gardening, farming, shopping show, which is like QVC with us, with our stuff, right? And my sister is taking over for me this week because I'll be in a business class. And so y'all come and show her the love, please. And if you don't have our phone app to watch it, which is the best experience, y'all, just go to your phone's app store, search Gardener's Workshop, download it. It's totally free. And we just have thousands of people that have downloaded it. And I can say to you, there's no glitches, y'all. Just get the app. And you'll have a lot of fun. And here's, you know, one reason to actually shop in the app. So our app store is totally separate from our big website. You'll see things on the app that you won't see on the big website, and you'll see things on our big website that you won't find on the app. But we have some special features over in the app. One of them is we do free shipping on seed packet only orders. That means if you just purchase seed packets, the shipping is free in the app. We can do that over there. It allows us to manipulate and offer you that service. And there's just a lot of fun stuff over there. So remember to join Suzanne at 12 noon Eastern Time on Friday inside the app. And friends, I can't wait for y'all to start seeing some of these reels that we're making videos of. I am like a mowing maniac this time of the year. So friends, until we meet again, thank you so much for coming, and I will see you on Saturday on Seed Starting Saturday. All right, friends, ciao.